Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another segment of Asaph Cafe. I am your host, Asaph Adonai, and we're going to call this our April Fool's show because tomorrow is April 1st. And
yes.
Yeah, it's April 1st tomorrow. And we can still talk about Easter, too. We can call it a combination of post-Easter and April Fool's.
Yeah.
I am Asaph Adonai, and on my immediate left we have our aging rocker, affectionately our aging rocker Emmett. And then we also have Sean D with us this time. Did I get it right this time?
Good job! You did that right.
So anyway, this is going to be fun. I'm going to start off with a children's song. You've heard me do this before.
Yes. I want to splash in a coffee cup and live in the washing machine. It's all I wanna do all day is live in the washing machine. To do all day is live in a washing machine. It's all I wanna do all day is live in a washing machine. Yeah, I sang that in school all the time in the lunch line.
Yeah, well, anyway, that's really called, Oh, Where is My Underdog?
Uh-huh.
That's from an old cartoon from the past on called Underdog. I don't know if you're familiar with that cartoon.
I'm a 90s kid.
Did you see the movie Underdog by
Nope.
chance? That was a current movie with Taylor Momsen.
I didn't see. I'm not into the big movie area.
Well, anyway, Taylor Momsen, she's an adult now, singer.
Mm-hmm.
She played Cindy Lou Who in the movie The Grinch Stole Christmas.
I'm familiar with that one.
Do you remember the little girl that was Cindy Lou?
Yeah,
That's Taylor Momsen. So she's an adult now, and she also was in the Underdog movie version when she was a little bit older. So that song that I played just now, that's where it comes from. There was a Sweet Polly Purebred. Whenever she would get in trouble, she'd go, oh, where's my underdog? Oh, where can he be? I'm not a singer, but anyway, she would sing that whenever she got in trouble. The underdog would come to her rescue. So so that's where that song comes from. So Sean, what did you do for Easter?
Just hang around, messed around with technology, trying to get technology to work.
So you were at home messing around during the Easter?
Yeah, trying to get my computers to update them all.
Okay.
Update all 5.
And Emmett?
Oh, I went to Mass at St. Francis, and then later I got some food at the Missoula Fresh Market, and, got some beer and some wine, had that, and even a nice magazine with flowers, and gardens. That's an Easter tradition with me after Mass, because those garden magazines remind me of heaven, what heaven would look like for me, and I just enjoyed. I think I even watched Excalibur. For some reason, Excalibur's have you ever heard of Excalibur?
I've heard of it. I've not seen it.
It's an R-rated movie. I don't know if it's your kind of thing. It's about King Arthur. It's beautifully done. 1981. It's about almost 3 hours or 2.5 hours. But for some reason, I love it during Easter or on Easter Sunday. Maybe because it has a lot of religious themes in it and very heroic. Just beautifully done. Ever heard of Karl Orff? The one.
I've heard the name.
The classical composer when dun 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 dun, and very dramatic. They had all those battle scenes. It's a beautiful movie. So I watched that, and that's what I did for Easter. Okay. How about you?
Well, what I did for Easter, I went and saw the Passion Play at Christian Life Center. Mm-hmm. They had this theatrical version of the Crucifixion of Christ. Mm-hmm. And I went to that, and it looked really real, especially with the scene when Christ was being flogged.
Yes.
Before being hung on the cross, and they had the blood.
Oh, good, yeah.
This was a theatrical version that they had for Easter.
Yes.
They showed it for something like a week or two, something like that. And then on that, I think that Easter. Well, I went to the play like a Wednesday before Easter, and so then on Sunday. One of my neighbors, her name is BJ. She probably doesn't want me to mention her name on TV. But anyway, she cooked this beautiful Easter dinner for the neighbors. And so we all got together.
That's wonderful.
And she cooked really good food. She had mashed potatoes, gravy, ham, and string beans with real bacon in it, onions.
Oh, wow.
Stuff. she made this like really nice Jello, and of course I'm not into Jello, so I wound up eating graham crackers. For my dessert, and we had like James Gibson. He's been on the show before. He lives in our complex, so he was there. And Cheryl, she lives upstairs from where Jim lives, and my granddaughter Cheyenne. They were all there, and they probably don't want me to mention their name on TV, but that's okay. Yeah. But we had
by
fun.
Technicality, as long as you don't mention their last name, you're golden.
Yeah. So anyway, all the neighbors at the Wildflower where we lived, they got together, and BJ cooked us beautiful Easter dinner. So it was fun, and I was stuffed.
Wonderful.
I made it a point not to eat that morning because if I'd have eaten, then I would have been too full to really enjoy it. I think I had a lot of ham that day.
Wonderful.
It was sliced real thin, though.
Yeah, wonderful.
Not the real thick.
Yeah.
So you can have as much as you want.
Yeah. Easter Monday, what I decided to do, I always kind of feast on Easter or after Easter myself, but so I went over to Hoo Hot Mongolian Grill and ate a lot, and I had a big beer and a glass of wine. And a big thing. They have a nice feed over at Mongolian, Grill. Have you ever gone to Hoo Hot Mongolian Grill?
No, I haven't.
Delicious food. I'm not plugging products. You can't do that on the show or, make a commercial. I'm not doing that, but I'm just saying that it's a good restaurant. So I went over there. I like,
Cool.
Delicious.
So, well, Sean, I'm glad you had a good Easter, and you too, Emmett. I'm glad
yes.
A Wonderful World.
Yes. Oh, that's a good song. That's a good, easy listening song. Yeah, I like that. Well, I forgot to pray. God bless our show and our time together. Amen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would have probably mentioned it somewhere.
Yeah.
But thanks for the prayer.
Certainly. Just short. Yeah.
Thanks. You know this song, Sean?
Nope. I'm doing some twittery things.
Yeah, I like this song.
I do too.
And it's also on the slumber set of Toddler Tunes often. It's been on easy listening too, the whole thing. I forgot who did it, who did the actual
sing
song.
It?
Yeah.
Louis Armstrong.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's a nice song. Yeah.
If I could play the trumpet like Louis Armstrong, I wouldn't have to play the piano.
Yeah.
I'd be the greatest trumpet player in the world. Hey, y'all.
Yeah.
Louis Armstrong, I'm the greatest trumpet player since sliced bread. Now, he was a very humble guy, so I don't mean that in an arrogant sense. But you know what they said about Louis Armstrong? I think it was Duke Ellington said this about him. He was born poor, died rich, and never hurt anyone along the way.
Wonderful.
What a kind thing for someone to say,
definitely.
But Louis Armstrong was he was really quite the trumpet player. If you're into playing trumpets.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm glad you guys had a good
Easter,
Easter. Now I want to talk about April Fool's Day.
Oh yeah,
that was crazy when I was a kid growing up.
Same here.
I don't know about in your time, but when I was a kid.
But I'm planning on going all out on that day.
What are you gonna do on that day? You know it's tomorrow.
I know it's tomorrow. I'm not revealing any secrets.
Okay, well that's fine. Well, you know what we would do when I was a kid is like they might tell some story about something that happened to somebody, and you get to believe in it, right? And all of a sudden you go April Fools. April Fools. Yeah. But yeah. I just thought of something to play.
Yeah.
This is mostly for you. You might know it since you're younger. Let's see if you're going to know this one here.
Yeah, my father would often tell just simple April Fool jokes like, Emmett, your shoes are untied, April Fools. Just simple stuff like that. That's kind of nice, you know.
recognize that?
Nope. Nope.
That's the theme to an old television show, Japanese television show called Johnny Sacco and his Flying Robot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
You probably wouldn't know that
No.
show anyway. Basically, if you're into science fiction, and Sean, I don't know if you're into science fiction or not, but this show here, you're familiar with Godzilla, right? The
Yes,
big
that's
Godzilla
that one.
monster?
Yes, I'm familiar with that one.
Okay, well, they had this robot that they built the size of Godzilla. And the first voice that robot heard, he would obey, period. And you could never unprogram it once that happens. So little Johnny Sacco happens to be in the laboratory that built the giant robot, because this robot has powers.
Uh-huh.
And the kid spoke to the robot, and so the robot heard his voice. So then they had to recruit this little boy into the government program to fight off like Godzilla and all those other monsters. They had to train this kid. And so this robot had these powers, like, for example, these missiles would come out of his fingers. He'd go...
Fascinating.
When he's like shooting up monsters and stuff. And he had what's called a mega punch, where the little boy says, giant robot, mega punch. And that robot would go, and you hear this metal sound. And he punched the monsters, and he could fly. And it was just a science fiction show.
Fascinating.
Nobody remembers. It was called Johnny Sacco and his Flying Robot.
Fascinating.
And they had another... well, first of all, Sean, did you see any of the Godzilla movies at all?
Nope.
Okay. Well, anyway, how come it's always Tokyo?
Yeah, yeah.
You ever think about that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, every Godzilla movie, right? It's Tokyo. They invade Tokyo. Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan.
Yeah.
And all the monsters like on Johnny Sacco and Ultraman. Do you remember Ultraman?
You talked to me about Ultraman. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like this big giant creature with this pointed head. It was silver. He had the silver outfit with these red stripes. And he had this warning light on his chest. See, Ultraman gets his energy from the sun. So when he gets into Earth's atmosphere, he starts getting weak eventually. So he had to fly from the sun to get some more power. And all the monsters, they always attack Tokyo, right? So Ultraman would have to defend the planet from these monsters.
Yeah.
He comes from a planet called M78 in the 40th galaxy. Well, that's science fiction for you.
Fascinating.
So Ultraman, see how Ultraman, this is the premise of the show. I don't know if you ever saw it or not. You can probably look it up on your computer or YouTube. Anyway, Ultraman was chasing a monster through space called Bimlar. Who thinks this stuff
I know.
So Ultraman's chasing Bimlar. They're both flying their spaceships through space, right? And what's funny about this is Bimlar looks like Godzilla, right? So how in the world can you get Godzilla to fly a spaceship? But anyway, Anyway, Bimlar's in his ship, right? And he goes into the Earth's atmosphere, and so Ultraman is following him, right? And so naturally, when any UFO or something goes into Earth's atmosphere, the Air Force or whatever is going to check it out when it shows up on the screen. So they have what's called the Science Patrol. They're like the Air Force, the Army, that kind of thing. And so they send one of their men, Hayata, to go up there and check it out, right? Because that's what you do when you work for the government. You check out UFOs. Yep. So while Hayata's flying up there trying to see why these two spaceships are in the Earth's atmosphere, Ultraman's ship collides into Hayata's accidentally, and he kills Hayata. So to make up for it, Ultraman decides he's going to stay on the planet Earth and give his life back to Hayata so they become one. Does that make any sense? So that Hayata can live. And whenever Hayata gets in trouble, all he has to do, he had what's called a beta capsule. It's like this little stick with a button on it. And when Hayata would push this beta capsule, he'll turn into Ultraman. And they're like one. So that's how the series started. But it was a pretty cool science fiction show of the 60s.
Yeah.
Kind of corny by today's
Oh, definitely.
standards.
Yeah.
They didn't have the special effects,
Yeah.
So, it's the same thing. Ultraman, Johnny Sacco and his Flying Robot, they're all pretty much the same. They fight Godzilla. And they always invade Tokyo.
Yeah.
They never invade Los Angeles. They never invade Texas. They never invade China. It's always Tokyo. I don't know what it is. I guess the monsters just like, in the pictures, they just like that city.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how many times Tokyo's had to rebuild?
I know, yeah.
Think about it. Mothra goes and shows up one week and wreaks havoc and just smashes all the buildings, right?
Yeah.
And next week it's Godzilla.
Yeah.
Rodan. Rodan comes. No, Rodan was like this flying giant bird, right?
Yeah.
And he'd be like shooting fire out of his mouth and blowing up buildings and things, you know.
I loved Mothra. I've seen the movie. I loved. They actually used a real moth. I heard some documentary. They used a real moth for Mothra.
Probably. So, you're not into any of those Godzilla movies, huh?
I'm sort of the guy. I've only watched the Godzilla sort of.
We talk about the new Godzilla that they had?
I've watched almost I've tried watching almost every one.
Well,
I watched the one that they did in, I think, New York. It was based in New York.
Yeah.
That was so you can't take that.
Well, the Godzilla movies of the past, they always attacked Tokyo.
Yeah.
They always did.
But they sort of moved on. I think Godzilla got tired of.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't
I
know.
did not like the one from, I think, 1994, the new Godzilla, or something. 1994, they updated Godzilla. They made him look more like a lizard, and he attacked some city in the United States. I didn't care for that
That was
one.
New York, I think.
Yeah, I didn't care for that Godzilla. I like the old ones. The old,
Well, they were fun. I mean,
Yeah.
what was fun about those movies?
Especially because I'm a '90s kid. That was something.
Yeah.
That was a.
But no,
I grew up
that
with.
90 versions was based on the 60s versions
Yeah.
of Godzillas and so on. But
I think they made a part 2 of it. I think.
probably.
Yeah.
Probably. So
It can't be any worse than them taking there's videos. There's one that I'm trying to think of that they sort of ruined by reproducing it.
Now, what do you got planned for April Fool's Day tomorrow?
Oh, nothing really. I really don't do much April Fool's show. Just probably tomorrow's Friday, right? I think I'll probably I don't know what I'll do. Probably just go to church, maybe just relax. I think I'll just relax.
Yeah.
I really don't do
When are you
anything.
going to produce your next show?
What?
When are you going to produce your next?
Oh, I've already produced 3 of them. It's going to air on the 6th. I resurrected The Awful Truth About Society.
Let's talk about that for a moment. I want to talk about that anyway. How did you come up with the concept of that show?
Well, I've resurrected it because there was a lot.
Not the original,
I know.
The original. How did you come up with the idea when you first did it 20 years ago?
Well, what happened was, I had a mohawk and leather jacket at the time. I was a punk rocker. And what I wanted to do, I was at the mall, and I wanted to work, at a record store, music store called Disc Jockey. They had tapes and
that
CDs.
was at the mall at that time?
Yeah, Disc Jockey, and they often had punk rock tapes. And I thought if I wanted a part-time job to supplement my income, this would be a good place to work. I know about punk rock and everything, so
Right.
I asked the manager, are you hiring right now? And they said, well, one, we're not hiring. But second of all, we don't hire people with mohawks. Sorry, we can't do that.
That's what he said to you?
Yeah. And I said, but this is a punk rock store that has punk rock music. And he said, in the 70s, you would have been able to hire at a punk rock store, a mohawk. And he said, this isn't the 70s. These are the 90s.
Oh, so that's where you came up with the idea to do that show, huh?
So, well, anyway, what I did, I was sitting at Coffee Row and I was praying about it, and I thought, this is the last straw. This is the straw that broke the camel's back. I've heard about MCAT, and I prayed about it, and I wanted to do a show exposing Disc Jockey and the way they treated me and the way workers are treated at work. I called it The Evils of Work Prisons.
That was the original title, huh?
Well, it wasn't the original title was The Awful Truth About Society, but my first episode, I always have different titles for each episode.
Well, I just find that interesting that that you come up with the premise of that just based on an experience when you
Exactly,
were younger,
because when I wanted not only to expose Disc Jockey, but all the other evils of society I had been frustrated by, so I contacted the station and I proposed, could I do this show, exposing Disc Jockey and the other evils of society from a Christian and an anarchist and punk point of view. I want to get punk rock across to the audience and expose the evils of society, whole work, school, and everything. They said, yeah, I could do that, and so then I needed a title, so I came up, let's see, The Awful Truth About Society. So,
yeah, in a way you can say the awful truth as far as if you go into a job thing and
yes.
You've got a mohawk, and they say they say that in that way. I had an experience similar to that, not with a mohawk. When I was 16 years old, before I got my first job, I went into this restaurant, and I had a yellow pair of pants on at the time. They were like corduroy. I was just a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I admit I didn't really look as professional at that time as
Yeah.
I should have. And it was an African American manager in there, and he sizes me up and looks me up and down. He says, "Young man, you want a job in here?" I said, "Yes, sir." He says, "First thing you do is you go home and change your clothes, and then you come back." Boy, I was so embarrassed.
Yeah.
I was not expecting him to say that.
Yeah.
And it was almost unfair because
Yes.
he doesn't know me. And how does he know if I wasn't living in a shelter?
Exactly.
Or, some poverty circumstance.
Yeah.
And I never went back.
Can't blame you.
I'm not going to go change just for the sake of some manager.
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
You know that old saying about first impressions? Because I could have came in there with a shirt and a tie, and I would have always been discriminated against because of the first impression.
Yeah.
And that's what I think of the workforce.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have a problem with the work, the physical work, the labor.
Right.
I have a problem with managers that intimidate their employees.
Exactly.
Or use their authority or their
Exactly.
power over.
Yes.
And I've experienced that, so... And that's how I felt with this manager at this restaurant.
Yeah.
And I didn't go back.
I can't blame you.
I was not going to put up with that because even if I'd have worked double hard, he'd always judge me by that first.
Yeah.
know,
It's ridiculous,
And that's how it was. And where I come from in Sacramento, people are always judging you by your appearance.
Yeah.
Before they get to know you.
Yeah.
I remember there was another incident. I went to the mall. I won't say the name of the mall because they have several malls in Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
So this one particular mall I went to, I walked up to a Hispanic fella at that time. He was probably like an assistant manager.
Mm-hmm.
And all I was doing was just asking him questions. I wasn't even going to apply.
Yeah.
And this guy was sizing me up and looking to see if I had wrinkles on my shirt.
Oh.
That's a true story.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, what's with this guy?
Yeah,
Is he
exactly.
gonna stand there and form opinions based on my shirt was wrinkled? I'm outdoors most of the day, so my shirt's gonna get wrinkled.
Exactly.
But it's this petty judging someone's work ethic or their work by he doesn't have the right crease on his shirt.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's just the most ridiculous, and that's the way it was when I was growing up. I mean, they just judged you by the stupidest.
I know, it's
thing.
horrible.
So, I'm glad I played the piano.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I call that first episode "The Evils of Work Prisons," because you might as well be in a prison. They treat you like you're a criminal.
Yeah,
just for showing up. Yeah,
they make you feel stupid.
Yeah, they made you.
I don't know about 2016. We're talking some 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah,
when
exactly.
I was coming up, and it was ridiculous how people would judge you.
Yeah.
Instead of give you an application, and you might be the best worker you ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Had, But anyway.
Well, they made me cut my hair at 4B's. I had a part-time job over there, and that was just like almost 30 years ago, 25 years ago. I was trying to be a hippie, I just moved out on my own. I liked it, but I wasn't a very good hippie because I had slacks and regular t-shirt. But they said that if I wanted to keep my job, I had to cut my hair and trim my beard. Because I was looking like a wild hippie, and so I had to cut it, just length here and trim the beard. And I wanted to keep working because I kind of needed the money, but the boss said that I was getting complaints. They were getting complaints from the other customers. Well, I think that was projection. The boss didn't like my hair.
Yeah.
And
well, no, see, but this goes to what we're talking about. I mean, I don't want to get too political necessarily.
Yeah, exactly.
But it goes to people in the, I don't want to use the word audience, like say a restaurant setting.
Yeah, exactly.
They will complain to a manager if they don't like the way a certain employee looks. I just think that is the stupidest.
It is. It really is.
And I used to work for another lady years ago. She had a cafe shop, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
And she used to tell me that people would complain because they didn't like the way I looked or the way I wasn't dressed good enough for the or just some
it's
ridiculous thing like that. I was a good employee, but anyway.
Yeah,
you're lucky you weren't there, Sean.
Yeah.
Not born in that century.
Yeah, you're very lucky.
It had a happy ending. Interesting. I still got to keep my job because I did cut my hair and trim my beard. But the boss was kind of chagrined and sheepish. I think she thought that, either I was gonna mouth off in a drunken way and say, I don't need blanket to take that, or come up with a chainsaw and go, and kill people. She thought I was dangerous and looking dangerous and that I was going to be psychotic. She judged me based on my long hair like I was a dangerous criminal. Ridiculous.
I know it. I know.
You know, that's just ridiculous.
You just made me think of another incident, too. I went to a mall years ago, and when I was being interviewed, they had this African-American lady. She was a good-looking young lady.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, what would you do if you saw one of the employees stealing? And I said, well, what I would do is confront the employee first.
Yes.
And tell him he should not be doing that.
Yes.
And she did not hire me because I didn't give the right answer. She wanted me to say, turn him in, and then he loses his job. What if this guy was taking because he had a sick child?
Exactly.
Now, that doesn't make it right.
No, right, I know that.
But I understand it. You know, or what if he just had to feed his kids or something?
Exactly.
So I would just have compassion on the guy and give him a warning.
Yeah.
But this lady, she kind of had her nose up in the air anyway.
Oh, yeah.
And
She's very rich, probably.
I don't.
Or she was better off than the employees.
Well,
Oh, that's how I'm
the
thinking.
point that I'm making is a lot of these. Well, I don't know about 2016, but a lot of these employers, they just act like they're so much better than their employees.
Exactly. Yeah.
They have this. They come across with this standard, this level here.
Exactly.
They sort of talk down at.
They do. Yes,
You know?
yes, they do.
And like this young lady, the mom, I'm not trying to pick on her. I mean, it's been over 30, 40 years, so she's probably a grandparent now.
Yeah.
But at the time, she just was like so ditty and.
Yeah,
You know, and those were my experiences in the non-music world. You know,
Yes, yes.
The jobs that I had when I was in my 20s and 30s that were non-music jobs at the time.
Yeah.
And I liked to work, but I just hated the atmosphere.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Or I just had some bosses just,
Yeah.
work your last nerve.
Yeah, they would, yeah, absolutely.
You know? and it was just horrible.
Yeah, it is, yes.
So, anyway, but
So that started the 20-year thing of doing shows, you know.
yeah, I see why you did your show. This was the we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly, you know.
I understand now you've got to come back, so that's good.
Some people requested back, so I got my audience back, so I'm glad of that, you know.
Well, why don't you look in that camera and tell the people who don't know the name of your show?
Well, it's The Awful Truth About Society with Emmett, the old retired punk rocker. It's going to be starting up on the 6th of April at 10:30 at night. Has a viewer discretion advisory. It does, because I get into a lot of grim, deep subjects. It's the opposite of Asaph Cafe.
Yeah.
But it gives solutions from a Christian and a punk point of view, try to lead people to the Lord, and expose evils of society like work, school, the government, child abuse, the evils of the government, a whole bunch of stuff, you know.
Yeah, so you could tune in Emma's show, and of course the premise of this show, I just invite a person at random, like Sean when we first got him on here, like yourself. And all you do is just talk to me as I play the piano, that's it.
Exactly.
No script, impromptu, and that's why this show works.
It does, yeah. It's completely low-key.
Well, see, Sean is so young, I'm trying to figure out ways to make it more inclusive for him. And, of course, you're always welcome to be on this show anytime you want. It's just you're so young, I don't know what people in your generation like to talk about and all that. But, I mean, you like superheroes, right?
What?
Superheroes.
Not really.
Okay, see, I don't know.
Yeah,
you think of something to me?
I don't know. I just, it's the...
You guys are the older generation.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, well. But no, anytime you want to be on, you're always welcome. It's good to have a younger person's point of view. We just got to find some young things to talk about.
Yeah.
There,
Did you like Pokemon when you were a kid, if you remember the 90s?
Yes, I do. I actually have collections of the Pokemon cards.
So you're old enough to remember that, huh? Okay.
Yeah. You know, I got some Pokemon cards during Y2K, just before Y2K, because I thought, if the world ends, and I was preparing for Y2K.
Hold that thought. Are you old enough to remember the Y2K thing?
Nope, I was born in '93, so if you think.
Okay, 2000,
when the clock was going to go to 2000.
Yeah.
Everybody was acting like the sky was going to
fall.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yes. 2000. It was just another day.
Yeah.
Same story with.
It was just another day.
What year was that one that they said? They did another one sometime.
2012.
Yep, so.
Oh.
And I thought 2012 was going to happen too.
Well, I don't want to get religious or anything, but You know,
I think
Christ is going to eventually come.
He is.
But we don't know that day, so
Right,
you're wasting
right.
your time.
You never know.
saying
He
it.
could
Yeah.
be. You never know. He could be around somewhere in a human body form.
No,
that
no.
you
What I'm
don't
saying
know
is,
of.
we got these guys saying Jesus is coming, and so
Oh yeah,
everybody's-
that's true. Yeah.
Everybody falls for that, right? They go sell their house and all their stuff.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
go move up in a cave, right? And then you got like about 100 people flocking around waiting on the Lord to show up, and then he doesn't show.
But you
so.
could never know.
I'm not saying I'm not making fun of that or saying
But
he's
you
not
never know.
coming.
He could be a spiritual entity in somebody that's maybe like because I sort of believe in a way that like there's guardian angels.
Yes, yes.
Why
I believe
maybe he sent a soldier down to see what's going on.
Well,
you never know in
no.
a
That's
human body.
sort of not what Revelation talks about. I don't
Exactly.
want to get that far into it, but my point is
But I sort of have
Christ
that. Like,
will eventually come, but the point of this part is it's not so much the coming of Christ, it's don't be setting dates.
Yeah, that's true.
Tell
Yeah.
some 90-year-old to go
Yeah,
sell a
yeah.
life
I
insurance,
think
right?
I think it's I,
You know,
I
and
think it's
stuff
more
like
like
that.
more like I
they
believe.
say Jesus is coming on this
Yes,
date.
yes.
I believe it's more like
No.
they keep maybe they read something off wrong with a calendar or something.
Well, it's like
ancient
that
calendar.
2000 when
Yeah.
before the
Y2K. Yeah.
everything they called it Y2K, and everybody was going hog wild. The computers are gonna crash, planes are gonna fall out of the
Yeah,
sky.
yeah, yeah.
They were just talking all this. It was just a sunny day.
Yeah.
If I remember that correctly, I think just the news and all the cartoons or whatever.
Yeah,
that day
yeah.
Came on just like before.
And I sort
So-
of like that the 2012 thing.
Yeah.
Same
And
The
thing.
Mayan
actually,
calendar,
what was
yeah.
weird is it was actually falling, I think, on my birthday. I think.
Whoa.
Well, I'm not making light of the second coming of Christ.
Right,
My
exactly.
point is, don't be setting dates.
Yeah,
Just-
yeah. It's a good point.
Or they must
You
have
know.
written, or they must not know how to read the dates.
Yeah.
No, well, the New Testament's clear. Nobody knows. the dates.
That's the truth. Yeah, yeah.
So if the angels don't know and they're in heaven with God,
Yes.
how do you think some guy gonna figure it out?
Exactly.
Or
So
they
just
know,
live your
or
life,
the
you know?
angels know, but we don't know.
You know?
They're probably in the in community.
Yeah.
Probably in the like the
Yeah.
in group, and we're the lower group.
I'm just saying. I just think you should live your life, but
Exactly,
be
exactly.
expectant.
Exactly.
Don't be foolish and
Yeah.
sell your 401 plan. And
Yeah,
then all
yeah,
of a sudden You're gonna
exactly.
be sleeping at the mission. You
Yeah.
know, at the stroke of midnight when
I
it
know,
doesn't
I
happen.
know, yeah.
And that's sad when that happens.
It is.
You know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just
Yeah.
want to put that. But anyway, it's getting back to your show. I'm glad you're doing your show, and of course your show is a lot more intense than this one. You all right?
Yeah.
So I'll leave it at that. Okay, Sean. Let's see. Well, I interviewed Sean when he was the first time he was here,
Mm-hmm.
and just so that the cafe audience could get to know more about.
Yeah,
him,
yeah.
Let's
stuff
see if
like
you guys
that.
know some. How about we play guess the song and see if you guys know any of my generation music.
All right.
All right.
Something that'll spin. I think of something that's popular. Most of
You sure you're all right?
Yeah, it's just probably the
I'm
latent
gonna
cough
do
from that
some
cold I had
let's
last
see.
week. You know.
Okay.
you know who sings that?
Nope.
I haven't heard anything.
Been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from?
Now that's in your generation.
Yep.
That song?
It's a generation. It's somewhere that I know of. It's something I have on my. It was
Don't
made in
know.
2007.
Oh.
Don't know it.
Let's see if it will just- It's called Cotton Eye Joe.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of that. That's a younger song?
It's 2007.
Mm-hmm.
2007?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know that. Let's try another one. I don't recognize
Nor do I.
Said the name somewhere along in
Well,
there.
I've heard the name Katy Perry.
You know
Yeah,
what
I never
You know
have.
what the song is?
Nope.
No.
Dark Horse. Katy Perry, Dark Horse.
Never even heard of the artist.
I've heard
Google
the name.
her. Google her name. It's a really neat song.
Huh.
She's a young...
They actually can make this song right here. They've actually made glass doors shake from the bass.
Huh. Well, do you know Nine Inch Nails? Then it's
Nope.
a kind of punk rock group. You don't know Nine Inch Nails? This is from the '90s.
Because if he was born in '90, for example,
Oh,
he'd
yeah,
have to
yeah.
give at least 10 years to get old enough.
I
to
guess
know
you're
what's going on.
right, because Trent Reznor, Nine Inch Nails did his thing in 1989, 1990. You're right, but I like that punk rock group Nine Inch Nails, Trent Reznor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really liked it.
I lost track of time as far as when we started this show, so I'm just going to guess and improvise when to stop.
Yeah.
I'll
You
just take a
usually
guess.
we'll find out when you look at the tape because normally it's like your average is 55
Well, if
minutes.
it goes over an hour, sometimes it doesn't
Yeah.
catch or whatever.
Okay.
I mean, it can
Yeah.
technically go over.
Then I guess you wouldn't know Social Distortion, the punk rock band
Nope.
from the
No, I
80s.
What year were you born?
93.
See, so
Oh,
you have
okay.
to at least go to at least 2003 to give him time
Yeah, I guess you're right.
to be old enough.
That's the year I did go punk, as a matter of fact. 1993 was the year I went punk rock.
Really?
Yep, 1993.
Yeah. So he's not going to know people like Patty Duke and
But I know Dolly Parton's. Dolly,
Parton.
I
Parton.
can't even speak.
Yeah.
well, I have to ask, how are you familiar with Dolly Parton?
She was, I think she was, she was on a show on Disney Channel when I was young.
Oh, Disney. Oh, that would explain it.
Yeah.
So did you watch a lot of Disney when you
When
were
I
a
was
kid?
younger. I had cousins that were younger.
Did you watch
Hannah Montana was one of the shows.
And I was going to say the Hannah Montana. Did you watch Hannah Montana when you were growing up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of Hannah Montana, I have a book at home when Miley was.
Miley.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was.
Hannah.
It's like a little crossword puzzle
Uh-huh.
book. And it has like the people who were on.
Yeah,
Hannah
yeah.
Montana.
Billy Ray was on there. That's her dad.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's just a little book, like this thick, and I have it as a collector's item
Mhm.
because that show was very popular. I'm sure it probably still is in reruns now.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
Hannah Here's a song called Hannah Montana. Let me play it for you. I'm gonna give it a little fancy. This is actually called Hannah Montana. This song.
Mm-hmm.
That is called Hannah Montana. I
Fascinating.
fancied it up a little bit.
Yeah.
If you do it plain, it'll sound something like this.
Yeah. I guess you wouldn't know then Gordon Lightfoot or Neil Diamond. Oh, I love them. They're beautiful artists. You ought to get. They're just wonderful artists. You're in for a treat, you know.
I'm country
Well, he's
pop.
not gonna know.
I'm country and pop mainly.
Okay.
Okay, now when we say pop, are you talking like your Katy Perry and all those?
Katy
kind of
Perry.
people?
Sort of like the mixture, like country pop, different sort of.
Can you name some other artists in your generation that you would probably know?
I know Carrie Underwood,
Oh, okay, I got the gist of it. Yeah, I see
Yeah,
the
yeah.
really,
Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, speaking of Lady Gaga, did you
Kesha.
did any of you see the tribute that she did to Julie Andrews?
Nope.
I heard about that one.
It was gorgeous, beautiful tribute.
Mhm.
Lady Gaga was in front of this like symphonic kind of orchestra,
Mm-hmm.
and she was singing the songs that Julie Andrews did in The Sound of Music,
Uh-huh.
like Favorite Things,
Uh-huh.
and it was beautifully done.
Interesting.
And I mean, no, really,
Yeah, fascinating,
it was,
huh?
it was well done.
Wow.
Because Lady Gaga's known for doing that crazy, outrageous stuff.
Like
yeah.
the meat outfit, that meat that
I do seem to recall that. That wasn't for me, but you know.
I never saw it. I'm sort of glad I didn't, because I probably would have been scarred for life.
Yeah, uh-huh.
But she did do a beautiful tribute to Julie Andrews.
Huh.
Those
What
songs.
was it on a award show? I
Yeah, it
believe?
was. I think it was like some sort of Academy Award show or
Huh.
something.
What
like that.
year?
It was only. It's probably just a few years ago.
I might have saw it. You know.
Yeah, she was wearing this beautiful white gown. And,
I would maybe I saw it. I would have saw it. 'Cause
And then another thing I like about Lady Gaga, when she does those commercials or their albums with Tony
Uh-huh.
Bennett. You know, on the world news, that first album those two did together, Sword.
No, I didn't
That was
know.
on the world
Whoa,
news.
interesting.
Yeah, Lady Gaga and Tony Bennett.
Mhm.
I was like, holy smokes!
Mhm.
This was really good.
Whoa,
I'm not saying
interesting.
Lady Gaga can't sing when she does the normal stuff,
Yeah, yeah.
but Yeah, that young lady can sing.
Mhm.
So I see. I got the gist of your generation. Your Carrie Underwoods and
Megan Trainor, that's a newer generation.
I've heard the name. I don't know who some of these people.
Nor do I. Yeah, I just
You
don't.
got, maybe I should give you guys some homework and catch up on some generation stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, look, I like Lady Gaga, but that just wouldn't be for me. I mean, I'm going to be 60 soon, so I can't imagine a 60-year-old listening to Carrie Underwood.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, pretty much, if you have grandkids, you probably would be.
Yeah,
no, I'm not saying they can't sing.
No, but you know what I mean? You'd probably be listening to it if you
yeah.
had grandkids, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, you had no choice.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't have your grandkids listening to Lawrence. Well, that ain't going to work.
But you could always introduce them to stuff like that, too.
Yeah, I would, yeah.
I know. But, it's like we talked about in the other show, you know, when you're on top of the world as an entertainer,
Yes.
that's just a short ride.
Yep.
A couple of generations later, you're going to start going like this, see? Because some younger, more stronger folks going to start rising up there.
Yep.
So, I don't understand. How did she get... Dolly Parton made her climb back, I believe.
Well, I think part of it is because of her Dolly world. That might have something to do with
And
it.
her being on Hannah Montana, so
That
younger
might have
generation...
something to do with
That
the
helped-
younger...
That
the
helped.
younger.
Because that leaves like a stamp, like
It's
a memory.
like... It's like Tony Bennett. I don't think you would know him.
I don't know him. He must have
sung
faded
a song
away.
called "I Left My Heart in San Francisco."
Yeah.
But anyway, you know, he was very famous in like the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, right? And then he kind of tapered down. And then they had the MTV generation was just starting to come out.
Oh, yeah.
You probably
Oh, yeah,
remember that.
Motley Crue, that
Yeah.
kind of thing, yeah.
And so they had
music
this,
videos.
They had this awards thing. So what they did, Tony Bennett came out with a tux, but he had like, this top hat or something like that, and it had a look that appealed to younger kids.
Yeah.
And so all he did was presented an award. So the young kids, you know, the punk rockers, they're like, man,
Yes.
who's this old guy? We want to check him out. So they start checking
Yeah.
him out, and they saw all the good stuff that he had been doing in the past, and that's how he got that resurgence with the younger generation of that the MTV crowd. It worked.
Yep.
And they start going to those Tony Bennett concerts and watching him do the same thing. And
Uh-huh.
of course now here with his work with Lady Gaga,
Interesting, yeah,
it's a hit. Now Tony
Yeah.
Bennett is like well into his 80s now,
Mm-hmm.
but he's like considered cool. The
Amazing.
younger generation, you know,
Yep.
the younger generation that knows who he is.
Yep.
I don't even know who he is.
Well, you wouldn't, but the ones that do around here, he's cool. He's called the cool guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but he's singing the same stuff he's always sang.
Yeah.
He's an exception to the rule about getting on top and then have the next generation.
Yep.
He made.
Because-
It's like I believe certain artists will come back around again.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, he's just one that did, but he never went anywhere. It's just, you know, the younger generation has to get
No,
exposed.
he probably got the
He got the Reese jumpstart with the MTV generation.
Yeah, interesting.
That look he had, he just came out and just presented an award.
and they're like, who are you?
That's what the young people were curious. They're like, who's this old guy with this top hat on? They were checking him
Yep,
out.
yep,
They saw,
yep.
"Hey, this guy can sing. So,
Yep.
well, you know, Tony Bennett is probably the greatest singer ever.
Hmm.
So you lost track of your
Period.
timekeeping?
Well, I'm just going to improvise. I forgot to look at the watch when we started the show.
Yeah.
I think you should get like a little something, like a timer, like a clock.
Well, I normally look at this watch. I'll just fake it. 15 more minutes from now, we'll just close it down. and
Yeah,
I'll take a
yeah.
guess. No, but I think Tony Bennett is probably the greatest singer that has ever lived.
Huh.
Even Frank Sinatra said
Uh-huh.
that about him. You know, Sinatra's
Yeah.
considered the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there might be some truth in that.
Interesting.
Now, Tony Bennett, his style of singing is different now than when he was a young man.
Oh, yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
Because he's in his 80s now.
Mm-hmm.
But as a young man, when he was phrasing differently and holding the notes longer, and his voice was lighter, it's simply because he was
Oh,
younger
yeah.
at the time. Just good work. Like Because of You.
Yes.
I don't know if you can look up Because of You on that
What's the contraption called?
A cell phone?
no, iPad.
Nope, it is a
Don't know.
smart.
Smartphone.
Oh.
Good job.
Okay, look up and see if you can find Because of You by Tony Bennett. It would be like 1940 something.
Huh.
Go to YouTube. We'll see if YouTube. Let's
see if YouTube has
let's
it.
see if trusty old YouTube has what I think it has.
The name of the song is called Because of You. Then you can just hear you can hear his voice, his phrasing. is
Interesting.
Because of you,
Tony Bennett.
Tony Bennett.
Let's see if.
Mr. YouTube knows, or the YouTube general.
Well, it would be a very I'll know the song when I hear it.
Oh my goodness. Holy mackerel.
Look for young Tony Bennett, the original. They should say the original. because of you, the original. You can hear this.
I'm good. Yeah, I don't feel like looking through 1,000 different pages.
Well, just pick one at random and see if they have it. It's Tony Bennett there, right?
I just exited out.
Oh, okay, never mind. Well, anyway, I think Tony Bennett was probably the greatest singer that ever lived.
Huh.
Period.
I've never really heard him. I'm not too up on Tony Bennett.
If you check out his early work.
Interesting.
Yeah, he just had such a beautiful voice. Well, he still does. But,
Yes.
You know, when you're in your heyday and you're
Yes.
and you're young, when you're in your prime, in his prime, nobody could touch Tony Bennett in my
Wow.
opinion. I just think he was just such a great singer
Wonderful.
for generations and so on.
Well, since you have access to YouTube right on your phone, you're in for a treat. You can always access Gordon Lightfoot and Neil Diamond, and you'll love the music.
He probably won't. I don't think so.
It's bad enough. My brother's sort of that rock and roll sort of theme, so I've gone.
Okay,
back.
well, who are we
My
talking about when
family
you
is-
say rock and roll? Who are we talking
like
about?
like rock, different thing. Like my dad likes heavy kind of music, like the heavy rock.
Mm-hmm.
It gives me a headache, so I can't listen to it. Or rap.
Yeah, I hate rap. Gordon Lightfoot
I'm
actually.
the same boat.
Yeah. Gordon Lightfoot isn't rock and roll. He's more like folk. He plays
ballad
beautiful,
singer, right?
beautiful guitar, often about homelessness or like alcoholism or just tough times on the street or things in his life. But it's beautiful, you know. Dun 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 dun. Rainy day people.
Well, I don't think
it's
this
beautiful.
young man's gonna know that, but see, it's this generation thing.
I guess
so,
you're right. Yeah, but it's just I think it's so beautiful. It's so wonderful. It's fascinating.
Well, you know what's gonna be interesting is 20 years from now, and you and I are like 90.
Yeah.
And he's like our age. I wonder what the music will be.
Oh,
like.
yeah,
Can
yeah.
you imagine that? And then you're gonna be going through what we're going through when you're telling this younger generation about your music. They're gonna look at you like you're an old man.
Yeah, fascinating. Yep.
and stuff.
My goal is to try keeping up with the 21st century.
Yeah.
To keep up on the younger
there you go.
generation.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna fall behind.
Yeah.
See, like I couldn't play any songs as far as for Sean because he's not gonna know.
Yeah.
The stuff like that. And then I don't see how I could play any Lady Gaga on the piano.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
just ain't likely.
That ain't likely.
I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
But I
yeah,
enjoy.
so-
You do fantastic on piano.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I wish I had that kind of talent.
Well, I've been doing it since I was 10 years old, so and a lot of piano lessons over the years. So yeah, that's in all fairness.
I guess then you don't have a record player.
No,
I do.
don't.
You
Probably wouldn't even know what a record player. Do you know what a typewriter is?
Yes, I do.
Oh, you do. Okay.
Sadly, I do. My great grandma had that kind of stuff.
Well, the reason I say that is because, well, you probably won't know him. Jerry Lewis was a famous comedian in the past.
Mhm.
He had a pantomime skit called The Typewriter.
I don't recognize that one, but my great grandma had, I think, a record player. Probably somewhere one of my family members had
Well,
a
see,
typewriter.
we're in a generation where I don't even think they make record players anymore.
Yeah, I have an old record player with records.
They actually they have stuff to that are digital that transform instead of they do still have them.
Uh-huh,
but
that's good.
But
Uh-huh.
for people that want to play like vinyl records for DJing,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
still make that technology. They use the same technology to convert that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I've still got old, not only Lawrence Welk records, but Gordon Lightfoot and Neil Diamond on records and
on
records.
this device.
Fascinating. Yep. Star Trek. Do you remember Star Trek?
That's the generation.
Fascinating lasers. Straight.
Did you hear about the MythBusters series that they did on Star Wars?
No, I didn't.
Mm-mm.
They did like a myth. Is it possible? How do I explain? Myth, but it's like where they tested some of the theories, like the.
Oh yeah.
Well, you would be more familiar with the more current Star Wars movies, then, wouldn't you? Instead of the originals that they had.
Yeah, like some of the stuff that they've what I've watched in different things, like
Yeah.
the surviving in. Darn it! I'm a fan of MythBusters, and I can't even remember what they called the where with the tree. You know how the trees come into that
Well, I didn't see the current Star Wars movies.
Yeah, like all those different things.
Yeah.
They tested all those like from that. Like,
Okay.
Like all the different stuff that they. Just
Well, you know what we're gonna have to do, Emma, is we're just gonna have to figure out a way to get some generational stuff, so when Sean's on, we can relate to the younger audience. See, you're making me look good as far as this show because you're so young. So we're trying to get topics that the younger generation can relate to. See, that's what we're gonna have to do.
YouTube is a big platform, believe me.
No, I understand that, but still, you know, I get on YouTube.
Hey, at least you know how to use a computer like some people at your age.
I don't.
Yeah,
I can hardly use a computer.
I know. I was lucky enough to get some lessons on that. So.
And I think he needs to work on some computers.
I can hardly understand it.
I tell you, if you had kids like us, you
True.
gotta know about computers these days.
Yeah, you do.
That's just a must. Or like your little smartphone.
Limited thing.
Whoa! Oh my! Don't drop it! Don't break it!
It's in a case. That case is
Alright.
an box case that I love to death.
I see. You're a trusting soul, so that thing's not broken, huh?
Nope, it's in one layer.
Okay.
I tell you what, we're gonna sign off. I want you to, instead of me playing, let's put on a song as we sign off here. Do something different.
Yep.
Let's put on some Frank Sinatra.
I'm just gonna put on something that I have on my phone. I don't feel like searching through the YouTube.
All right, let's see what you.
It's Life Through a Lens by Jackson Harris.
I don't know who that is.
Nope, nor do I.
All right, well, while that's playing, let's make some acknowledgments signing off here.
Yep.
I'll just take a guess that we
Yes.
get at least a half hour. Anyway, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being part of Asaph Cafe.
Me too. A dream I never knew I had.
And on my far left, we have Sean D.
You can check
singing and doing his generational music, which Emmett and I are like way out left.
Yeah.
Now you know how I feel.
I know.
I know, yeah.
I am Asaph Adonai, your host, and on my immediate left, our aging rocker, affectionately Emmett, our aging rocker, and
Sean
any
Daily
final
Vlogs
things you
and
wanna say?
Sean. You can email me if you want. You guys can email me at SeanDailyVlogs@outlook.com. SEAN
Okay.
Daily Vlogs
all right.
at outlook.com.
And who is this artist that we're listening to?
Jackson Harris. He's a YouTuber.
Jackson Harris.
Yep.
I guess we'll sign off with this edition of Asaph Cafe with Jackson Harris. I don't even know who he is.
Nor do I.
Now you know how I feel.
But to sign off, another surreal joke. Could I tell another surreal
tell
joke?
a quick surreal
There were
joke.
these two washing machines, and they saw a hat in their way. One said to the other, "Is that in your way?" And the other said, "No, it's in your way, and it's blocking my view." Ha 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 ha! It was the first one I ever made up. That was in high school. Wasn't that
I
hilarious?
quit our day job.
Yeah.
I would have quit my day job to listen to that one.
Yeah, and on that note, ladies and gentlemen, until our next show, Maranatha. You guys make yourself at home.
Open road, down, Jeanette for more.